I guess you're wondering why I'm under here. Well, long story short is I ordered the two hoses that are leaking for the luber filter. I think that's what it's called. And they are not correct. They're not even close to being correct. So I'm going to pause on that part of the project and move to something that I really want to do, that I've been kind of itching to do, and that is to start building the hitch plate for the back of the tractor. And some of the stuff that I have to order parts for, you know, they either come in wrong or they're out of stock, or I just ordered the wrong parts. So this is something I can work on right now because I happen to have the plate to do it. And so I'm going to go ahead and jump back there and get started. And I won't bore y'all with the whole setup, but I'm gonna just cut to cutting that back plate out and getting it ready for the new hitch plate. So I can't do anything about this right now, so I'll see you back there in a minute. You may not be able to tell, but it's nighttime. I actually took a break from cutting this off for a couple reasons, but the main reason was I know there's a cross member under here, but there's not a cross member other than this here. And to be honest, I just wanted to make sure that when I cut this off, it wasn't going to spring or collapse and hurt me. So I had a friend that has been driving rigs for a lot of years. He came over and he does a lot of modifications to them, and kind of told him what my concern was. He said I should be fine, shouldn't have a problem whatsoever. So he said these frame rails are pretty stout, so I'm gonna trust them. Trust but verify. So I'm gonna be very careful from on out until this is separated on one side. And you know, part of me wants to just cut it right through the middle, and so if it's going to separate, it'll separate away from me. The downside is if it collapses in, it's going to pinch the cutoff wheel. I mean, that's not that big of a deal, but the biggest thing is I'm not as young as I used to be, so I don't heal like I used to. So I just don't want to cause a problem for myself. So I'm gonna get everything set back up, and I guess what I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna go ahead and finish cutting this off and this off, because these are already disconnected from the cross member, and I need to get those cleaned up anyway. So I've got my plates already cut. Now I'm gonna put this in the mill to put my holes in it. And I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to so there's no way I can do all that tonight. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple options and give 3 options of what I'd like to do. The problem is I only have a certain amount of space on there, and maybe let y'all help me pick. So I think, and it may only be 2 options, but I think I've got a couple ideas. I did laser etch my original idea on there, so that when I go to mill it, I can have kind of a visual aid of what make sure I'm lining everything up. So we'll go through all that later once I get ready to take it off. But the primary thing right now is I've got to get this cut out and cleaned up so I can add that plate. And then I'll add these plates afterwards. So another thing, and I may have mentioned this already, I don't remember, is from the research that I have done, and some of you older guys that have modified these trucks and done this before, my understanding is you don't want to weld to the flanges. You can weld to the web, they call it the web, but not the flanges. So so until I know otherwise, I'm going to follow that principle. But that leads to another question: is if there's a gooseneck ball on the top, I understand that it'd be fully welded to the diagonal plate and then fully welded to the vertical plate. But should I put like a rib in the back just to keep it from wanting to peel back, if that makes sense? Or drill and tap from the underside and put a clamp that would come through the top plate and clamp the rail on the front part, so I don't have any way for it to peel back. So I'd be super interested in some of you guys that have done this, what you would recommend. So I'm down for anything. And I want to say the gooseneck plate that I'm putting on here is, I think it's 8 inches wide, so I can put the little gooseneck flip over gooseneck ball in there. So that's kind of my thought on this. So let me get this cut out and we'll pick up from there. I do not like using grinders without the protector shield on, but for some reason I cannot find mine, and I've looked everywhere. So I'm gonna have to be very careful and cautious on this. So actually, let me look another place. So apparently I did not look everywhere, and I found two. I think this is to the Makita, and I believe this is the D-wall. So I'd much prefer to use that than not to use it. Better about that now. was welded on the bottom, but you may not be able to see this. It was such a bad weld. Only about 1.25 inches was still holding. It was rusted all through there, and it didn't even have penetration to the top. So I kind of gave up on coming from the side because I couldn't tell what it has this blob of whatever this is on the side of it, so I couldn't tell what I was cutting. So I decided, instead of wasting the sanding disc to try to figure it out and make another cut, I would cut it off so I can visually see something. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this side, and then we'll start taking that off and cleaning it up. said. Figured I'd use some of these older discs that I've worn out pretty good, just to go ahead and cut this little stuff off. If I can get lucky and twist this off against the weld. I don't know if you can see this with the light, but that's all the weld that was holding on. Let's see. You may not be able to see it, but so it's not that I'm super strong, but I'm able to use leverage to get it off by breaking it against the weld. coming off. So. But I think I can rip this. I would have probably saved a whole lot of energy and time if I had just gone and gotten the right tool. But apparently I love this pipe wrench, and I don't want it to leave my side, so I don't know why that is, but let's see, that's a little bit. You kind of see where they have the it looks like 1/2 inch or 5/8 flat bar. think I'm gonna sand on this just a little bit more, and then I'm gonna call it a night. Go home and get a few quotes done for some upcoming projects. Possible projects. I gotta figure out how to get this blob off right here. And I may just be using the cutoff wheel and taking steps, and then I'll grind it down. This side's in a lot better shape. Yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a night tonight. Got it cleaned up a little bit just so I can kind of see what I'm looking at. Regardless, when I weld that other plate on to this side and here, I'm gonna have to bevel it substantially. So I'll end up doing that. But like I said, I got to get this cleaned up first. So that'll be the next video, and I think the next video I'll have it finished, cleaned up, and then I'll have should have the plates machined, and I'll show you all that, how I do that as well. Kind of depends. which way I go with it. So we'll go from there, and I'll see y'all next time. All right, so here are the two hitch plates that I came up with. This option here was like the first one that I did because I just figured everybody ran round headlights. But I really like this version. Actually, I like both of them the same. The and they're basically the exact same with the exception of the brake lights. So I have these smaller holes for like these little 3/4 inch lights, and this is for the pigtail for trailer plugs, and that those are for a pintle hitch, and of course this is for a tag. But this for safety chains and a gooseneck, which I'll weld in. All that. But the main problem I have is deciding which version to go with, and I'm hoping that y'all can give me some direction and help me pick. Like, I really like this and I really like this. I like them both. So what I don't, and here's the reason, my hesitation. If we look at this, so it kind of bugs me that this angle is not equal to this angle. And I did try changing this angle to match that, but it just kind of looks weird, if you will. So I'm not 100% sold on it. And I believe I have these ovals the right size, and that kind of dictates it also. And technically I could just put one. Actually, that's a very fair option. I could do one that's in this direction that matches this angle here. But I really like the option of two, if that makes sense. And technically I could do it horizontal right here, but if I'm gonna do that, I may as well do the round version. So I'm interested to see what y'all have to say. I'm gonna let y'all help me pick how I machine this plate. The top two pieces are super easy. This is really just the only catch I have. So I think I'm gonna give this a couple days after I post this today, and kind of see what everybody suggests, and I may just I may go with what y'all suggest regardless. So appreciate the help, guys, and hopefully I'll have a solution here soon. Thanks.